Sri Lankans are being forced to bail out our failed government corporations by eating more. Recent research by the Advocata Institute showed just how expensive it is to eat in Sri Lanka. We aren't even talking about posh coffee shops and restaurants. Even regular everyday food gets taxed a ridiculous amount. Grocery prices here are 34% higher than in India. Chicken in Sri Lanka is even more expensive than the notoriously high-priced Singapore, and they import all their food. Sri Lanka produces its own chicken. One reason for this is taxation, a lot of taxation. For example, 23% of the price of coconut oil is tax, 33% of the price of potatoes is tax, 38% of the price of butter is for tax, and 38% of the price of Kurakan flour is, you guessed it, tax. We got 53% of the price of turmeric for tax, and a whopping 178% of the price of yogurt is tax. There's a couple of reasons for this much taxation. One is to promote domestic industries, and to some extent this has been successful. But since the tax code has not been planned very well, it results in unfair expenses getting passed down to the end consumer, as well as smart entrepreneurs gaming the system. For example, maize and soy meal are the raw materials for poultry feed, which are taxed at 90% and 45% respectively, so it can stimulate domestic growth of these crops. But Sri Lankans haven't grown these crops until very recently, so that tax gets passed down to you. Wheat is our most important cereal after rice, but we import all of it because the climate is unsuitable for wheat growth. However, wheat flour is taxed at around 85%, while wheat grain is taxed around 23%. So what millers do is they import the grain, they turn it into wheat flour and sell it as if it were taxed at 85% instead of 23%. Profit? Another reason for all this taxing is to pay for the government. The special commodity levy, which usually applies to food, earned the government Rs 55.8 billion in 2016, which curiously is about the same amount of money that our state enterprises lost in 2016. Sri Lanka has a very bloated government. All that corruption and waste and huge national debt is a tremendous drain on resources. Any money that goes to the government disappears like papadum at the dinner table, and we consumers are the ones that have to keep replenishing that money. A hungry Sri Lankan is an angry Sri Lankan, which explains quite a lot actually.